Hey, hey, hey. What up, everybody? On your left, thank you for enjoying that tune. The thing about putting stuff on Spotify is that once I put it up on Spotify, it starts to become a bitch, and then they literally start taking down my music. I get hit with copyrights blocks on my own shit, and there is literally This Is Revolution shows up where I used old music that I wrote in a previous band, and fucking they try to take it down, and that's a pain in the ass. So as of right now, no, I have no plans on releasing any of that. But if you guys want it, I do actually have it in MP3 unmastered form, so I can send it to you if you really want it. So yeah, most of this stuff is on SoundCloud, but it's in my other bands is called La Fin Absolute du Monde. So if you look up La Fin Absolute du Monde, then you can find a lot of that chill stuff. But we have to find a new name for the night instead of Nerd Night. Conan was like, "You got to find a better name," and I was like, "Yeah," because ultimately it's like pop culture. But let me bring in the homies. Coming in from Springfield, Missouri, weighing a svelte 165 pounds. Mean Gene Bajalan.
How are you doing, Jason? It is a pleasure to be here with you this evening on Sausage Night. How's everyone doing out there? Hey, I want to remind everybody, like and subscribe. You must all be liked and subscribed, but comment on the videos because that's how we get up the algorithm.
I just put the last video we did up on YouTube. I didn't realize it was literally almost 3 hours. And my sometimes bandmate, but all the time friend, former Californian. You know, it's in your blood, Conan. You're always a Californian. I don't give a fuck where you are. Conan Neutron.
I'm glad you're not mentioning my weight on the way in because it's not so great lately. Let's just say that I'm a heavyweight. Go.
And our technical master for all things Discord, also good friend, host of Giving the Mic to the Wrong Person podcast. He has no last name, much like Madonna. Jeremy.
Peace and salutations and such. Cheers, everybody.
Taking over for Pascal. And coming in from British Columbia. He is everyone's favorite deep state agent. He is my friend, and much like Pascal and Djene and Cedric and Teray, he is one of my political educators, fellow nerd, deep state Cuba.
I'm like the opposite of Jeremy. He has no last name, and I'm basically all last name.
And last but not least, this is the guy that gives validity to everything we do. Let's just be honest here. Because he is a serious film critic. He's a serious film guy. He showed me his film guide, Bona Fides, by showing me his ticket to Romeo and Juliet. Nice. He is Matthew, the film guy.
Is that all it takes to establish your film bona fides? That's amazing. I'm glad I did it.
When you go and pay to see certain movies, as a young person, like that, yeah. Like an old guy like me going to pay money to go see certain old films, like I might go pay to see Reanimator at a shitty little theater and be like, oh, this is fun. But when you're like, oh, dude, Romeo and Juliet's playing at the fucking downtown theater and wherever the fuck I live.
I'll take it. Yeah, Tallahassee, Florida at the time. Yeah. But there wasn't a lot going on that night elsewhere in Tallahassee, I can promise.
That's not the party town, huh?
I mean, it's everyone there is a hostage. You're either there for the university, one of the two universities, or the state government. So nobody wants to be there. But I digress. Thank you. Glad to be here. Glad to lend some sort of film thing.
Oh yeah, you give us validity.
I don't think so. That's too much pressure. But
I was jokingly going to get Paul Verhoeven's older films before he started making them in the States and make a collage of those, just to see if
I haven't seen those. I haven't seen
That
those.
sounds like a lot of
Soldier
work.
Orange is a lot of work. I want to see them, but I'm more curious. I'm more curious. What are you? You're wearing Conan's shirt. You're paying tribute to Conan tonight.
I was gonna let it slide, but yeah.
So I've totally lagged because I should be letting you guys know way ahead of time. And Djene has been a G and keeping me on my P's and Q's. You know what Djene is like, Conan? Djene is like a manager / producer. And in the music world, Conan and I have never been big enough to have like a real manager. You have to be relatively large to be.
Well,
He gets 50%. Is that it?
He's waiting for it like this.
Do I get my 15%?
He's like this. Yeah. Right now, 15% of both.
50% of zero is zero, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. But these guys, man, they need managing. I'm sorry, like Pascal and Jay are the genius, but they need organization.
Yeah.
Anyone that says they don't need a manager when you get to a certain level is full of shit.
Gene, you're the Brian Epstein to their Beatles. That's important.
I like that. I like the Brian Epstein. At least I'm not the Jeffrey Epstein.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was either a far worse Epstein.
The far worse Epstein you can be these days.
Brian Epstein didn't kill himself either, but I don't know.
Well, and you could always be the Dear Grant,
Man, I have to turn my Facebook off now because some guy is trying to tell me Douglas Murray isn't a racist, and I'm going to be distracted with that all evening.
Put on your other hat. It's your other hat time.
Wait, what's the difference between Douglas Murray and Charles Murray?
I mean Charles Murray. Both of them are reactionaries. Douglas Murray. Douglas Murray.
I thought that was a setup for a joke.
Douglas Murray has a better accent.
You know who's a real racist is Douglas Adams. That's who we should be talking about.
Oh, really? Well, Douglas Murray is a British racist who thinks Muslims are invading Europe. And Charles Murray, we all know him from the race IQ stuff. Although, let's be fair to Charles Murray. Charles Murray doesn't just think black people are genetically deficient. He thinks, in general, poor people are genetically deficient.
Ah, there you go.
So, that's like fair enough. How could you call someone like that a racist?
Yeah.
Ipso facto.
That's how I feel about it.
He at least acknowledges class.
I want to play this for you guys because hopefully I edited it enough where we're not going to get it taken down. But I was in the middle of trying to make a collage of scenes, and I was like, you know who made a better collage of scenes? The editor of Total Recall. And you know how if you change the perspective on the video just enough, then YouTube won't pull it. So
I kept wondering why that AC/DC video where they're playing in the flatbed truck, they're playing Along With the Top You Want to Rock and Roll. I saw a version of it where I'm like, since when is Malcolm a lefty? And then I was like, oh, they flipped it to get around the YouTube
thing. It fucked the algorithm. But yeah, that's real shit. I have to do that now. I'm learning the tricks. So here we go. Let's get in the Wayback Machine, 1990.
It is the center of your life. It is everything you hear.
Side note, I still think this is the coolest shit
everything you see. Everything you feel. It is everything you are. How would you know if someone stole your mind?
Arrest that woman!
Great.
Cut. Get ready for a surprise! We cannot around. He knows too much. They've got you bugged. I get a lock. There! And the bug's in your skull.
Take this thing out of the case and stick it up your nose. Don't worry, it's self-guiding.
Got him. I lost him.
Welcome to Mars.
You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here.
Look who's talking.
You erased your identity and implanted a new one.
If I'm with me, who the hell am I?
Welcome to Johnny Cat Drive. Where can I take you tonight? Please fasten your seatbelt. I want clay delivered alive for reimplantation.
That's for making me come to Mars. You wouldn't hurt me. After all, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
We hope you enjoyed the ride.
I
Hell
should have
yeah.
sent you guys popcorn for that one.
I was to say that wasn't the main American trailer, was it? Because that thing ran like what 4 minutes and had a shit ton more. It's like one of the ones you'd see at the beginning of a videotape that you would rent.
It had an intermission.
Yeah, it is a long ass trailer, but it has all the good parts of the movie, which are all the main special effects sans the 3 boobs, but all the main special effects that blew my mind as a young person. And I remember seeing that face when the face comes off.
Yeah.
I was like, nothing is ever going to be more amazing than this face.
I totally thought when I originally saw the trailer that the get ready for a surprise head was going to have a much larger role to play within the entire like larger scope of the movie and the plot, and totally didn't. But it's a great scene.
Advertising, man.
Jeremy found her in another scene. Like it was after that scene.
Yeah?
No, the scene that I pointed out was there's just the shot of I remember just like screen grabbing a shot of
It was like bad guy exposition at the airport.
Bad guy exposition, and it's just really well constructed because you have a bunch, the 4 bad guys in front, all wearing like somber grays and blacks, but like right in between there in the background, that's still somewhat in focus. You can see the actress, which I believe
shape.
Yeah, big yellow shape in the background, pretty clear. And one fun bit about the scene is that when she goes through security, her name on her ID was the actress's real name. Priscilla Barnes, I believe.
Oh, no shit.
Or at least this is what scanning through the IMDb trivia on my lunch hour helped out. Yeah, but also the other thing about that scene is the one little security dude who has that orangish beret, like the security guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same guy who plays Gul Dukat in Deep Space Nine.
Which
I did not know until today.
I was just watching it. I was saying it earlier. I was watching it with my son right before we went on, and the scene where Arnold is running through that security check, where they have the X-ray, and he busts through the window. I never really paid attention to this before, but the security guys, as he busts through, they just stop chasing him, and they're like, "Fuck it."
I mean,
You got us.
it's just wisdom, right?
we don't get paid extra if we catch them. Get paid scale no matter what.
More than we do.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you're a security guy or a henchman and you realize that the guy you're chasing is the protagonist of the movie, the only thing to do is give up, right? Like, you're not unnamed security guard number 3. You're not going to be the one that gets him.
Yeah, it's not going to end well. You're an NPC.
exactly.
Watch that
Right.
part. There's one dude. He literally says, "Fuck." He said, "Fuck it," and then he just turns around. Like, Man, I don't got no benefits.
Yeah,
I'm still in my 3-month probation.
yeah, it's always the fun part, the rare fun part when the NPC lackey just says, "I quit," and just throws his gun down, and the hero just watches them run away.
And the main bad guys are running through, and he's like, "Fuck it, man! They got this shit. I'm low man on the totem pole, brother." And I was like,
"He didn't kill my wife."
Consciousness, actually.
What'd you say?
That's some class consciousness, right? Like he knows where he stands.
Well, isn't this movie kind of a bit of the neoliberal hellscape that people joke that Elon Musk wants? Do you guys actually feel that way collectively?
And charging for air? I mean, that's about as dystopian capitalist future as you can
libertarian paradise, Nevada in 20 years.
Literally keeping the machine that could liberate everyone with free air offline and keeping an underground, on the run to avoid giving away what they could charge for. Absolutely. Kawato is the marks of Mars, obviously.
And it's what's his name? It's really the original, it's like better than the Matrix, right? Because obviously there's that whole Matrix aspect to that movie. Like, is this real life? Are we all just like living in our fantasy world because capitalism is how to take work?
Yeah,
and
that's a Philip K. Dick thing.
Fantasy.
Yeah, that's definitely a Philip K. Dick thing. Also,
who else read the "We Can Remember It For You" wholesale, the original short story that's based on?
Who's read the short story, but also when they were in junior high, read the Piers Anthony novelization of the film, at least because that was available, even though the film didn't come out on VHS for the next 8 months.
Jeremy, trying to get a wedgie.
The on a pale horse guy.
The Xanth guy, the guy who wrote the entire Xanth series and put a few too many of his weird, say his kind of weird, not entirely age appropriate sexualization of certain characters in there. But yeah, the PKD story is great, and far more. You mean it's PKD, so it's far more trippy, and I think. That's a weird thing. I looked at it. Apparently, they auctioned his story in 1974. It took him 16 years to make it.
And it wasn't. He's not like a muscle-bound action hero in the short. Right?
No.
He's just like an everyman kind of a
dude.
Schlubby
dude.
Well,
some guy.
He starts out as a construction worker. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the construction worker, and he was supposed to be like a regular guy on Earth, but of course. He's Arnold Schwarzenegger no matter what job you give him.
Yeah. Two of the original actors they wanted to cast in the lead. And remember, this was optioned in 1974, so this kind of makes sense. First one was Richard Dreyfuss. No.
Richard Dreyfuss?
Richard Dreyfuss is kind of as a schlubby, nebbishy office dude who finds out he's a secret agent who goes to Mars and back. Then later, I think when it was kicking around again, they wanted him a bit more, I don't know, they wanted to change the vibe a little bit more, and years had passed. And then they wanted to cast William Hurt. And it's
William Hurt is great in what's that movie he was
Altered Beast or
Altered History of Violence.
Altered Beast. You know what I mean?
I would pay money to see William Hurt starring in an adaptation of Altered Beast.
Yeah, they made a movie of everything else. Rise from your grave.
Rise from your grave.
It's just you got William Hurt just with real beefy legs, just kicking the shit out of all these gravestones.
Yeah. Or that,
he's a werewolf.
I'm in. You got my money. Let's go.
Just to follow up about the other connection point with the Matrix, and I didn't realize watching the film last night. I didn't realize this until just kind of watching it on the other monitor while playing Death Stranding. The scene where Dr. What's-His-Face, the goopy-faced recall boss, walks in, inserts himself into the film, and what does he offer to Arnold to bring him back to the real world? But a nice red pill that will help Arnold take from the fantasy fake life, and what is it? I can't remember what Morpheus's line is from. Something like "and peek behind the curtain," or tumble all the way down.
Really, all jokes aside, isn't that really the Matrix took that from Total Recall? Didn't they really take that from that? The red pill.
I mean, they so much stuff. The Matrix was such a synthesis of like I don't know how many like ideas from 80s, like 80s science fiction that I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. Not to mention the other stuff that the Wachowskis worked in.
The whole pill thing, I think it like starts out with Alice in Wonderland, where the different like edibles give you different effects, and then Jefferson Airplane does the White Rabbit song. One pill makes you this, one pill makes you that.
The ones that Mother gives you don't do anything at all. Yes.
Someone says, fun fact, Arnold got all of his policy ideas for governor while working on this film. That's fucking hilarious.
I got my political education at the University of Mars.
That's a good one, Kuba. That's a good accent.
Like
that must be your European genetics coming through there.
I watched that Arnold.
That's actually how I talk normally.
That's true. You do have a. You did your voice did create an enormous amount of controversy on the Zero Books webpage.
Yeah, those guys are mean.
I told you.
No, but you also had compliments.
I did. But the pointing out, it's amazing how people harped on the voice, right? Like I think somebody called it the worst male vocal fry they had ever heard. I had to look up vocal fry.
You think they said that? You know they said that, and because it's been on your mind ever since.
Yeah, exactly. Every night before I go to sleep.
This is the this is one of the things that I keep for years, because my background was college radio, and also, I've had earbuds in my head for 12 hours a day for the last 10 or 12 years. So you get real sensitive to like vocal quality from that. And one of the things I've noticed is that so many people, especially people who became like podcasters, or the kind of people who would like regularly, even on who would regularly talk to Doug Lane on there. It's like, wait, you people all live in, you all live and work in universities. Some of y'all have to have college DJs in your class. Find one, give them some beer and have them help you set up like a mic and just help you fix your sound at home.
Not figure it out in episode 20.
That podcast might change the game for a lot of people, because they bought those $99, $200 microphones, and people didn't get that lesson about microphones that, look, man, that shit's not going to sound better than the $100 Shure.
Yeah.
That's
the difference is completely marginal when you get to a certain point, and it's
unless
you're selling mics, then it's this is the only one you should get.
Yeah,
if you get a little action on the side, then okay.
Yeah, I say this being the one person here with the rocking the SM7B that I got
heard
for
things about that though.
Yeah, it got it from the.
That's what you have, Matthew. Now, Matthew,
I was bowing down to the SM7B. That's the state of the.
Is that the king of mics? But no, I got a question, guys. Like, does everybody think that this movie is Verhoeven's like magnus opus, or would you say the RoboCop? Because I would definitely say Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
Yep. I mean, he was on a he dips into the sexual, the basic instincts and the showgirls. But if you connect his sci-fi films, it's just strength to strength to strength, right? Basically ending up in, I don't count Hollow Man, but ending up in Starship Troopers, I think it does go 1, 2, 3, and it's all it's basically a plateau as far as I'm concerned. I mean, RoboCop. What can you say that hasn't already been said? Amazing sci-fi critique, social satire. Same thing with Total Recall. Ups the ante on the kind of mind fuckery. And then Starship Troopers has just got that layer of irony and humor that's like elevated. He had it in all the other ones, but it's much more present, and to the extent that it actually fooled a lot of people. So I put that one at the top.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, did people get? I mean, I remember going to the cinema to see Starship Trooper, right? And I remember thinking, this is a comedy, right? But I was like, I was into history and reading when I was at high school, so like, I guess I was nerd, right? But did people get that these were like satires of capitalism at the time?
Oh, yeah.
Because like, I don't think that a lot of people
some did and some did. A lot of people did it. I remember a lot of
Did
people just thought it was a cheesy 90210 of a action movie.
I
Yeah,
agree.
The
with
commercials
those
gave it
reviews.
away, though.
I agree with Matthew.
The in-universe commercials. That's where he really
Oh,
tips
yeah.
his hand.
Yeah.
Well,
So
for sure.
if I may, I think that Starship Troopers is an incredible work, if nothing else, because they took a admittedly fine book that's basically anti-UN propaganda and like unironically support the troops like in the 1950s. And they turned it around to make it relevant to what's happening with Afghanistan, with the Iraq War, everything that was happening with like American foreign policy, what would become the Project for New American Century, but then also made it funny. It's a dark comedy, 100%. And I saw it in the theater and I was laughing my ass off the whole time. It was great.
And
just
somebody described.
Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody described Mars from Total Recall as kind of the libertarian, neoliberal nightmare state, and the Buenos Aires you see at the beginning of Starship Troopers is actually even more chilling because it looks exactly like LA, which means in the future, neoliberal globalization is so successful that every city in the world is LA. Best case scenario.
I would say that it's working out great because I feel like every city in the world is LA. I haven't been to every city in the world, but I've been to enough major metropolitan areas globally to be like, oh, every city looks the fucking same, and it sucks.
Well, I had like a moment where you realize that was a couple of years ago when I was still working in Iraq. They had like a coffee bean. It was some chain, right? A chain coffee shop. And I went to Erbil, the capital of Kurdistan, and I went to the shopping center, and they had a coffee bean there. And I had a coffee because, like I wanted a coffee. And then I caught my plane, came back to England, and then in my sort of suburb in my northern English hometown, the very next cafe I went to was that same coffee bean franchise, like halfway across the world. And I just remember thinking, I was like, this is just freaking bonkers. And of course, everybody notices that, like after a while of traveling. I remember I first tasted the glories that is Arby's, the meat place in Istanbul, in a shopping center in Istanbul. That was the first time I ever had Arby's. I thought it was disgusting.
So it's just exactly the same.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
Anyone that tells you Arby's is their favorite place. Like that's the inside plant. That's the plant right there. Anyone else?
Did you have the Jamocha shake?
I would say the curly fries are good.
The curly fries. That's the only reason.
Oh yeah, the curly fries are great. But real quick about two things.
No, we want to talk about Arby's a lot more. No, go ahead.
Hey,
Gerto Smirto. Where's the barbecue? Damn it!
They would have for years.
Horsey sauce.
Yeah, Arby's sauce was always better. Although the one part I can still remember, my family would get like Arby's for like takeout dinner at night, and they would have the special of like 5 Arby's with cheese or something for like $5, which is just insane now.
Beef and cheddar.
Yeah, the beef and cheddars. But real quick, but the thing about like franchises everywhere, even in like the least expected places. One of the things I noticed watching it last night is, if you notice in the background, there are sharper images both on Earth and on Mars. And the other thing I noticed that IMDb points this out too, but all of the adverts on Earth are for Pepsi, and then you go to Mars and they're all Coca-Cola.
Oh wow!
Or either
that's great.
I might have that reversed, but it's
I didn't notice that at all.
Well, Verhoeven really is, I think, underappreciated. I mean, like, I don't buy the whole Showgirls was like an ironic movie, but I don't buy that one.
Apologize to Elizabeth Berkley.
When it comes to sci-fi, I think definitely, like, there's something. RoboCop is really excellent about like the military-industrial complex and how like banal the military-industrial complex is. My Total Recall is very much that like proletarian life sucks, and also the corporations will, deny everyone air if it's profitable. And then I think one of the reasons that Starship Troopers stood up is because it basically was a war on terror movie before the war on terror. Because what is it, 96 or 97 when that came out?
97.
And it really captured the atmosphere that existed following, during the Iraq War and beyond, like during the War on Terror period, where you had like this like disconnect between a highly consumer society. I remember George Bush said, go out and be patriotic and spend money. At the same time as a huge military mobilization, which to a certain degree is, hidden from the rest of the society.
And I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's European. And this was back when there was a bigger transatlantic divide in terms of politics and sensibility. And in some ways, I think all three movies represent a kind of response to elements of American society which he found different or worse than back home. Like more exaggerated versions of the same pathologies, and then he took it even further than like extrapolated where it would go from there.
But also, we can't, I agree with everything you guys are saying, but I think it's also important to remember that these were huge commercial enterprises made by corporations for the sake of profit, and they worked to make billions of dollars for all kinds of different people. So, like, this is the question I always have in my mind is, what's the most we can hope for from these in that sort of consciousness-raising sense? Does it just seep into a 15-year-old like I was when I saw Total Recall and just think like, oh, yeah, there's explosions and 3 boobs and all these things happening, but, is it planting a seed, or, is it running the risk of being like, well, okay, so these things work in a kind of a bubble where like I got a little bit of it, and so I feel like I know the critique, and I can sort of dismiss it in a way because it's given to me. Is the sugar overwhelming the medicine in this case?
I'd say the problem is that if you take the medicine, you've got nowhere to go, right? If you had a leftist popular party along the sort of European socialist lines that could tap in, like have people signing you up as you come out of the theater, or if you could.
Whereas I went to Arby's afterwards.
Yeah, like it's actually amazing how much consciousness raising media is out there, and how little it matters. Yeah, and it's because there's this missing link between, a lot of liberals think that politics is downstream from culture. You just change people's minds, and then you're going to get the universal health care, you're going to get the race reconciliation, you're going to get the gay marriage, whatever. And then conservatives complain because they think of it the same way, right? Like Hollywood is polluting CRT is polluting the minds of the country, and we're going to get like polyamorous polycules for Hamas popping up everywhere. But the reality is that without like a missing mechanism, without like something to connect the culture to the politics, which in the case of gay marriage was this incredibly well mobilized, disciplined, and committed gay rights movement, then you can raise all the consciousness you want. It's just not. It's going to turn into podcasts.
Yeah, would a giant movie studio let such a disruptive message through if they thought it actually had any chance of making any difference?
Excellent point. If there were somewhere to go, then they wouldn't make the movie.
Yeah,
well, sure.
there's a bit on the movie. Sorry to bother you. I assume everyone's seen that, the Boots Riley movie, where like the guy goes on all the late night talk shows saying like, this is crazy, like the system is messed up.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people
They're
just
all
like,
laughing.
yeah, great, freaking wonderful.
Yeah.
And this is exactly like when you see like even like a left liberal like what's the guy who does who writes about philanthropy, the Indian American guy.
Non-Geared Das.
When you see him go on MSNBC and go, hey, all this like it just reminds me of that bit in the Boots Riley movie where the guy's yelling on TV, but it can all just be monetarized, and it can all just be sort of deflected because there's no institutional base to do it. So I think these movies, the question is like, what's in Paul Verhoeven's heart? Is he like, okay, I'm going to try and push the envelope as much as I can with the corporations. I'm going to assume that some of these executives aren't going to get the irony, or they're going to focus on something else. But I don't think movie executives are stupid. They know what they're pumping out there.
And and he's not the final word either.
Well,
yeah, he's.
And what you're talking about, and I was actually also going to bring up Sorry to Bother You. So I think it's a brilliant movie, by the way. But also that goes all the way back to like one of my favorite movies of all time, Network, which accurately predicted the rise of Fox News as well as reality television. And of course, the dearly recently departed Ned Beatty's incredible speech, which is up there with Alec Baldwin's Glengarry speech of being like, hey, he's not really in this movie that much, but oh man, he's ringing a bell right here. And this is like,
you're messing with the forces of reality.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, Ned Beatty's in that film for 10 minutes and won the Oscar for that scene. For the single scene that he's in.
Absolutely worthy, right? And it's so subversive on so many different levels, and it's also prophetic in a lot of ways, because a lot of the things that Padachevsky put into the script at the time, it was like, oh, this is like, watch out, it could get like this, and it's like, oh yeah, it totally did get like that, and it's all exactly like that, and it's all even more terrible, and there's more people making money. Like it's a whole boardroom full of Ned Beatty's at this point, except for woke.
Someone asked this question right here. Did you guys see this question right here? Will Disney succeed with overlording Star Wars? Then I would actually go on to say the prequels, Lucas really had a message he was trying to get across about like how a society falls prey to fascism, and in these animated series it gets real in depth kind of with that same messaging. I don't know if you guys have been watching the new Bad Batch series where they actually
they're good,
are fighting over the fact like
they should call it the Good Batch because it's good viewing. No!
Like, why do we want to use clones when we can get regular people that have been relegated to the reserve army of labor anyway, and they're cheaper than these clones? And that's like the whole thing with I haven't only seen a few episodes with that movie, and I was like, wow, Disney really doesn't give a fuck, and they're just letting them go with this message.
But isn't this what what's his name, Guy Debord's situation is to the society, the spectacle basically laid out? Is that anything can just be reabsorbed into the machine and used to just continually perpetuate the same system? It's really, I mean, and let's not forget Guy Debord, he did kill himself. So I mean, he came to this conclusion, and he saw only one way out. I mean,
he did have cancer too, so I think
that's what they want you to think. No,
well, and now everyone is Howard Beale, right? Howard Beale, like Madison not going to take it anymore. That's Glenn Beck. That's Alex Jones. It's been
that's everyone message, on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean that message has been. I mean the word is normalized, but also like it's been divorced from the rest of the narrative structure, which is to say that the point wasn't like individualist populism, in like a sort of jingoistic way. Like I mean, again, taking it all back home.
What they're mad as hell at is different.
Yeah. But taking it back home, who used I'm not going to take it anymore in their freaking campaign was Arnold Schwarzenegger, star of Total Recall.
I honestly don't remember his campaign at all, because all I remember is the recall for Gray Davis.
Yeah,
give these people lower immigration.
And the rolling blackmail from Enron.
Or who remembers he stumped for H.W. Bush?
Michael Dukakis is the real Terminator.
That sounds more like Bernie. Jeez.
This sounds like Bernie.
At least my impression of it, I guess.
Well, actually, recently my wife started watching what's it called? What's the thing with Larry Davis?
You mean Larry Davis?
I think Larry Davis.
Yeah, she was like, who does this guy sound like? He reminds me of someone. It's like, he sounds like
they're cousins.
It's like, yeah, they're cousins. It's Bernie Sanders. Yeah, that was more for Bernie Sanders, less of an Arnold Schwarzenegger. But it is what it is. I can't do any impressions, so.
I must have watched Total Recall 500 times just to try to memorize all of Arnold's lines. So
it's full of, like, does Verhoeven write the scripts? Because the scripts are like
Ed Neumeier.
Because the scripts are excellent.
And there's some great lines.
Dan
that-
O'Bannon from Alien to Alien to
Daniel. Okay, according to what I gleaned, to the extent that IMDb entries are valid, Dan O'Bannon and his partner, was it Ron? Is it Shusett or Shuett, the guy who he kind of created Alien with? They worked on the idea for a while, and at one point it went over, and of all people, David Cronenberg was going to direct it at one point, and I think he churned out like 12 copies of the scripts, which would explain how where the body horror mutants on Mars came from.
Mm-hmm.
You realize that
very David Cronenberg.
It's in his contract.
But I think
the Vaseline budget alone is just astronomical.
Yeah. Got to have some body horror. Cronenberg's not on board.
Yeah, it's just not goopy enough, but the goop can't be blood. It's got to be goopy but not bloody. But real quick, I want to go back to the situationist thing. Yeah, we're talking about how also with the connection with Sorry to Bother You, it kind of puts the lie to the kind of like the original like hacker cyberpunk, but also conspiracy theorists like motivation. Which again brings back to 60s counterculture, because they're all connected with the idea, and Verhoeven, of course, coming of age during the mid 60s, and everybody, boomer, the rest of them all being boomers writing this stuff. But again, it was the idea of like same thing with like with conspiracy theories and with hackers. Hey, both the truth wants to be, information wants to be free, but also if we go through, we find we hack into the power structure and we find the secret information, this like sacred gnosis, and reveal it to the world, i.e. the scene, the latter parts of Sorry to Bother You. Then just that act alone, this idea, heavily idealist shit, will shake. It'll do the situationist thing. It will shake people out of their daily slumber, and bring about revolution that way.
Exposing that information is somehow matters. That this type of power, this type of exploitation of power is only possible to do if you can maintain secrecy around it, because otherwise it is so fundamentally scandalous that the world, right, or the people, or some other vague force will not permit this to happen openly. And then the reality is no, it's just 10% more inconvenient if you reveal this information for us, which is why we'll kill you and your entire family. But if you do manage to get it out,
this is
that's when we had that huge uprising when the Snowden stuff leaked.
Exactly.
Remember that?
This is actually what I think. When we go back to the mid 20th century and we look at the rise of fascism, there was an attempt by fascist regimes to impose ideological discipline on the masses through propaganda, through mass mobilization. The 21st century version of fascism, whether we call it fascism or whether we call it right-wing reactionary nationalism, that doesn't need to be the model. There's actually a much better model.
You're talking the Brave New World versus 1984. We turned into Brave New World, not we've welcomed our overlords.
And not only that, you just demoralize the opposition to such an extent that they can't coalesce. When scandals come out, you deny them even when the evidence is in front of you, and then you accuse the people accusing you of something. I saw this in Turkey. They literally caught the president of Turkey on the phone to his son saying, "Move the money," right? Like on the phone, saying, "Move the money."
It's a new dance.
People
move the money.
People didn't give a shit because nobody really fucking cares about that kind of stuff. Nobody cares about corruption, right?
Especially when streaming services TV is so good right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And there are so many good movies and TVs. Leave me alone. I just want to plug in and enjoy my little slice of free time.
This is why Trump was just like the big problem. If Trump had been 20% less triggering to the libs, he would have got away with so much of that nonsense that he does. Because like the reason Trump was bad at his job was because he was like just bungling at it, right? Not because of any particular policy.
Yeah, he was incapable of administering or managing.
Exactly. Like
some of these I mean, not just like didn't care about it.
I mean, some of these people like Viktor Orban or like Bolsonaro is screwing himself because he's such a bungling moron. But if you're like a little bit smart about it, like someone like Orban, someone like Erdogan, someone like Putin, you don't have to be a fucking super genius to do it. You just have to like use the right mix of repression and disinformation, and like you don't have a problem. You don't have to spend loads of money sending people to fucking gulags. And then,
what's the cable TV like in Russia right now? What's the streaming services like there? Is it good?
Pretty good. Yeah.
Anybody know?
They do. What do they do?
Very respectable.
What do they do in Poland? They've got some like borderline fascists in Poland.
Oh yeah, I mean it's this kind of Christian nationalism that is more effective at the cultural pushback rather than the institutional capture. Although that's a program for them that's just taking longer than in Hungary. But and that's the thing, right? Like these guys also understand that if you're going to break apart the connection and have this kind of like depressed authoritarianism where nobody believes, you don't have to lie about your country being good. You don't even have to convince people that like anything works. You just have this
threat.
Like low continual disappointment and disenchantment, but belief that you're pissing off the right people and things can't actually be any better. You have to break the courts. You have to break some of the like law enforcement and legal apparatus. But once you do, and that's where the battles are taking place in countries like Poland and the EU and Hungary, then like you can lie and nobody cares, nothing happens, or all your secrets are revealed and nothing happens and nobody cares.
Well, I mean, look at Trump. Trump, all those things came out about Trump. Some of them are obviously just like media hysteria, but like his supporters don't care. And even if they agree that stuff happens, they're like, well, you know what? He's the bastard, but he's our bastard. So like we live in this kind of like, like you said, we live in the 1984. We don't live in 1984 is not what it's like. That's why I really appreciate the movie Death of Stalin, because it shows the absurdity of totalitarianism, right? Like nobody takes it seriously. It's kind of a big joke, right? So we got real gloomy real fast. I thought we were going to talk about some fun action.
Well, because this shit is kind of gloomy when you think about it. Like these movies, again.
This is what happens when you bring up Poland.
You forgot about Poland.
These movies, right? Show you this neoliberal hellscape, and I'm sure a lot of people forgot that RoboCop. To Matthew's point about them being major Hollywood motion pictures, they made 3 RoboCops and a remake,
and a series, and several
series?
comic books.
There was no series. There was no third one.
Series.
Sorry, Conan.
The animated RoboCop.
Oh, yeah,
I remember seeing that line of
existed.
the line of toys. Yeah. That was
animated Rambo.
I mean, let's keep in mind we're talking about a movie where a dude gets shot in the dick. I mean, that's not children's fare. It's great. But
that was we should. This is something to bring in like Dan Larson on about something about
because we need more people and more dudes, definitely. Yeah.
Well, okay, yes.
Does he have a beard and wear glasses? I just want to know.
Depends on the day.
Okay.
Hey, some of us break the stereotype. That's the thing. I'm like, my joke was always like, I'm a DSA member who's professionally educated, wears spectacles, has facial hair, has a leftist podcast, and does techie stuff. But I am a Gen Xer, not a millennial. So take that stereotypes. But no. But the thing about
you don't brew your own beer.
But But the thing about 80s, there's something about 80s pop culture where that didn't really, I don't think it extended into the 90s, but yeah, where R ratings were still acceptable. And yeah, like your dad would be, that's how a bunch of us saw like a bunch of these films way too young.
Different. Look, we're all old enough.
Buying that for $1.
We're all old enough to remember having a birthday party with an aunt or a parent that smoked right next to the cake.
Yeah, like
Dripped all to the cake.
Yeah.
Adults had done enough drugs.
Catching on the kids,
that-
actually.
Yeah. The cake would have like Star Wars figures in it, or maybe if you're lucky, like G.I. Joe figures in it too.
Or RoboCop.
RoboCop, or
If my cake
Some
had
Thundercats too.
figurine on it, I thought that was the coolest cake in the world. And yeah, there's alcohol right next to your fucking sugary Kool-Aid. Somebody's
Well, I feel like, though, I think the 80s is a critical period, because you could take a kid from today and dump them in 1987, and it would be weird for them. They wouldn't have a phone and shit, but it wouldn't be like the alternative universe. They're just annoyed that they can't watch cartoons all day, and the computer games are kind of crappy.
Dial-up sucks.
Dial-ups and telephones. You have to call people on the telephone, and you have to arrange when you're going to meet them in town. You can't just text them. But they would recognize it. But if you take someone from 1980 and dump them in 1940, they would like have no freaking clue on how to do it. So I feel like the 80s is
Please don't do that to me.
It sets the tone. It sets the tone for our pop culture. Huh?
I don't want to play your time machine games, Gene, because that sounds like hey, Emmett.
That's that
Like
that movie.
1940 means that I've got like at least 5 years of Hitler owning my neighborhood.
That's true. You got
in your neighborhood.
Yeah, and that's before the Red Army shows up.
Yeah,
I mean, that was like the whole thing with that movie, Synchronic, right? That Anthony Mackie movie where he's not Falcon and he's not Papa Doc, but he's like it's
Then I won't watch it.
So it's time travel, but it's like that one. Is it Louis C.K. that's talking about that bit about? I know he's. We don't talk about Louis C.K. anymore.
Louis C.K.
But-
here. I don't know him personally. I don't have any beef with Louis C.K.
Well, it's not about Louis C.K. Nothing about this is about Louis C.K. In fact, I think it's his bit where he talks about like that time travel would suck for anyone that basically isn't like a white dude, right? And so this Synchronic movie, which is okay, like it's pretty interesting. It's okay. I like the guy's other movies too. It's like that bit as a movie, and it's pretty darn good. And that guy, all of his movies are pretty darn good. None of them are excellent, but they're always like, I didn't waste my time watching that. And it's definitely the time traveling while black situation.
What was Octavia Butler's time slip novel that was like her where a modern day black woman slips back to the antebellum South? Kind of like I can't remember.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. That's another good.
Yeah, it was. I have it on the shelf over in the room that I haven't. It's not Parable of the Sower. It's before that, but anyways, yeah. Sorry.
Same principle, and of course, it has nothing to do with any of the movies that we're meant to be discussing. But I do think it's interesting. Just like I think it's interesting that in Total Recall, there's that one mutant with the line that says, "You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here." I think that's a great line. Yeah. And I saw somebody dunk on the Mr. Peanut Twitter account with that when it came back as like the baby peanut. And like just all he said was, "You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here," and it was like that dude from the movie, and I was like, "Shut down the internet."
That's Dean Norris. That's A-Sex Schrader from Breaking.
I feel like 80s movies had a lot more.
Dean Norris from Breaking Bad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is it really? Oh,
yeah.
Good on Dean Norris.
I feel like
you can't really recognize it.
Had a lot more good one-liners. It's like seems to be a lot.
Yeah. That's what it was all about. It was all about
one-liners.
I'm going to kill you with a one-liner.
My favorite
one-liner. It is.
My favorite one-liner from an 80s movie is the Highlander movie where the guy's like, "Are you gay?" McLeod, he goes, "Why are you cruising for some ass?" And it's like, that's such a, it's like, and whenever someone at high school was like, "Hey,
to each their own, Gene, really, to each their own."
Like, "Why are you cruising for some ass?" And it'd be like,
my favorite line from Highlander is anything from Sean Connery playing a Spaniard.
Yeah. The one Scottish dude. We
When you
covered this
hit a
before,
woman,
by the
you
way.
hit them with the open hand. Sean Connery was like a legit, like
I'm from
when he went
Spain.
on, he like legitimately like talked about beating women.
Yeah.
on,
They deserve a
Let's
good
give her a love slap.
Only when they deserve it.
only when they deserve it, and never with a
bad.
with a closed fist. Always with an
Yeah.
axe.
Connery
He had his,
Sometimes
he had his
morals.
sometimes you give the
Hero.
women the last word and they don't take it. And then
So 70s and 80s are trendy right now. Someone belong to the 80s comes back. There's an 80s aesthetic that I think is trying to come back, and a 90s aesthetic that's trying to come back. Or
80s
But-
aesthetic of like 80s pop never went
synthesizer
away.
music.
Yeah.
It never
Synthesizer
went
music.
away. That's
The
the one thing that
movie
never
Drive-
went away. How can you be nostalgic for something that never leaves?
yeah,
It
Jeremy
never has
Stranger
left.
Things, yeah. Stranger Things is killing it.
Yeah,
Well,
Stranger Things. When that movie Drive came out, and the whole soundtrack was just like,
Synthwave.
Tangerine Dream.
Yeah, it was like, oh, okay, this is back. What was that? 2012.
I
Well,
like
2011. I love that soundtrack they bought it. Yeah, it was the last
soundtrack.
one of the first soundtracks they
Great,
brought in forever.
it's great,
Yeah.
but it definitely made me go like, whoa. I remember watching a Pie. The Darren Aronofsky movie, and it has all that like jungle drum and bass, like
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is gonna sound like Waka Jawaka 70s, like like exploitation. This is gonna sound. I could tell already. I'm in the theater. I'm like, this is too something, and
Those
now
90s movies, 90s movies like Go, that just have that ultra 90s soundtrack, and it's hard to watch the movie.
jungle. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Man,
Drum
this
and
is
bass.
Great music.
like
Drum and bass,
Yes.
Chemical Brothers.
Yeah,
By the
yeah.
way, we were talking about. I just want to drop in because we were talking about one-liners. One of my favorite one-liners from Total Recall is "Sue me, dickhead," and when he's in the Johnny cab, and that's the Google self-driving car, right? 30 years before it was even a twinkle in anybody's eye, right? And then he's like, "Just go drive!" And he rips the thing out.
Drive, do it immediately.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Do you think
Chasing
people are
us.
excited or afraid for that?
Well, if
That-
if it's Robert Picardo, the hologram from Star Trek Voyager, is driving me around, I would be a little bit less afraid. But if it's just like nobody, not even the voice of Kit or something, I think I would be a little less.
Now, you have to pay extra if you want a reassuring avatar, right?
All right,
Oh,
it's
dude,
worth it.
that's
For
a
the premium
add-on.
package,
That's an in-game
Captain's
extra.
car will
Yeah.
drive you, right?
Yeah.
Right. But if you're doing the basic rate, then it's just like a rabid raccoon, right? Designed to like give you as much anxiety as possible. That this is the person responsible for your vehicle.
No
So
thanks.
I know some people here watch Dan Larson has a great show, Toy Galaxy, and he did a thing on a history of Knight Rider, and I forgot what Knight Rider was about. I just remember it was David Hasselhoff drove his
Cocaine. That's what it's about. Thank you.
car. Did you? That show smelled like cocaine.
Glenn Larson's cocaine habit.
Exactly.
There's a,
What happens when Mormons get coke up?
them.
Well, also Edward Mulhare's cocaine habit, David
Yeah,
Hasselhoff's
it's-
cocaine habit, everybody's.
Cocaine decisions all around on the plot. Yeah, definitely.
And don't forget William Daniels. What? I can do all this cocaine. I only have to be in this voice actor booth. I'll do that. That's
Don't
the
even
voice
give me
actor.
a credit. I'll just take the cocaine. Don't even
Yeah.
put my name on it.
Also, yeah,
Knight Rider, Matthew?
thanks
Did you
to
watch Knight Rider like last year? I remember you saying something that you watched Knight Rider like.
I did. That was my pandemic, womb that I re-entered. As soon as things shut down, I did a complete rewatch of Knight Rider from beginning to end. And boy, did that take brain damage to really accomplish. Because it gets.
I didn't realize what the show is about. And when Dan tells you what the show is about, like David Hasselhoff's character got the face of another man, and then
Well, he works for an NGO.
There's so many
NGO.
extraneous plot points in
Broad
here. where it's like, what?
Foundation, Broad Foundation money.
Go ahead, tell it, Matthew.
No, listen. It starts ridiculous and gets asininely ridiculous. Like it's by the time you're in the third season, you're like, I really think the first season was more believable with the talking car and the bulletproof bonded molecular shell working for the man who gave him a different face. Turns out to be the face of his son that he was estranged by, and he was in prison in Africa, but then he gets out and he makes another semi truck with the same bonded shell called Goliath. I mean, like. By the time it gets to he's got to join the circus to find the killer. It's just these people had to have been doing a lot of cocaine. And listen, I was like from 8 until 10 or something when it was on. So I didn't. This was must see TV. This was like didn't even want to tape it, had to watch it when it was on. But it is
Gotta see that turbo
definitely a
boost
show
when you're a kid.
for a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, when he was talking about how the son character comes back, but he has a mustache.
Yeah, the evil twin, Garth Knight.
Yeah.
And this is where David Hasselhoff shows that he can really not act, because he has to do another person as this other person. Actually, his best acting is when he's pretending to be Garth, the evil guy with like a slightly different voice. So
Hasselhoff's best character is David Hasselhoff.
Yes, eating a cheeseburger drunk on the floor of his bathroom.
Also,
being the coach of the dodgeball team in Dodgeball.
Showing up in the credits of the last Guardians of the Galaxy film. Also, thanks to fellow podcaster Benjamin for pointing us out in the chat that the Octavia Butler book was Kindred.
David Hasselhoff did I think he did the theme music for Kung Fury, and there's like
oh no, that is his best.
Yes, that's what I was.
That thing is amazing. No, there's some 80s, the perfect 80s passage, like tone perfect.
So can you guys?
Here he is. Here's Garth.
Holy crap!
He's a pirate.
Yeah.
That's what they did, and he was a different dude.
Yeah, well, he was the original
I've seen that dude
face
in Whole
of
Foods, man.
Wilton Knight's son. He was
And
in jail. He was a
make him like
political
Neutron.
prisoner. He was like a mercenary in an African prison, and they broke him out. They thought he was.
I don't think
supposed to
that's
be
a political prisoner. I think that's an international terrorist.
Okay, thank you. But he was
Because of their
somehow.
fate.
This was the depth of the political understanding of the Knight Rider television show. You know, he was just in another country in jail for something, and
all he was
comes
trying
out.
to do is overthrow their government for money, right?
Right. It's the money
Those
part that
sensitive.
keeps him
Everyone's so
away from
easily
being
triggered.
a political prisoner. Yeah. He was All Lives Matter in, I don't know where he was in the middle of Africa, but
Rhodesia.
Night, dude.
Rhodesia. That was one of the things in the 80s where they just would make up like a fake sounding African country. Like it wasn't, they didn't try to make it too real.
And that's the most offensive thing. I mean, Marvel does it with European countries. They have like fake Poland.
Yeah, Slav exploitation.
They have
Sarkovia.
Country Doctor Doom rules.
Yeah, Latvia. Yeah. Madripoor, rather. The place that's not Hong Kong and not Singapore.
That's in the comic books too. Madripoor's in the comic books.
Yeah, you
That's
also
where Wolverine hung out.
Yeah.
Don't forget the giant in the room, Wakanda, and then you also had DC.
You leave Wakanda out of this.
You guys,
Wakanda,
Leave it out forever.
Yeah.
There's someone, I was driving down the street in San Leandro, California, and there was a kid that had an Wakanda shirt on.
Wakanda.
I see.
Oakland plus Wakanda. Yeah.
Have you guys seen Venture
Y'all remember
Brothers?
Rich Little? Yeah. Go ahead.
Do I remember Rich Little? Wait, what?
English, man.
What was the made up country in DC? I forget.
I had all those Sniglets books.
Superman land.
But
no, it's
Amazonia.
Wait, we're overlapping here real quick. First, Sniglets was Rich Hall, not Rich Little. Rich Hall was a little bit later.
My bad.
Second, the fake DC made up that fake Middle Eastern country because it's the one that Suicide Squad would go to, and like they were doing
Irakistan.
For more, yeah, and also it shows up in the last Wonder Woman movie too.
Did Gaul try to blow it up?
No, it's the one guy the guy they wanted to the guy was making a wish. The leader of that country was making a wish because he wanted his country back so he could sell oil to the Saudi Arabians, because what country needs oil more than Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Well, I question the Wonder Woman movie. People really loved the Wonder Woman movie.
What?
Yeah, I do. I question a lot of things. Like,
a lot of nerves, sir.
It's a fine
Wonder Woman take.
Everything. Although I think when Disney picked Gal Gadot to be the host of a TV show about indigenous people displaced from their lands, I think that was kind of like a little bit insane. Because it's like if she was just a regular Israeli, fine, but like she was like hired because she was an IDF.
She was a curb stomping Palestinian.
That was just for her butt definition. That was literally just what that was for, because she had been through the training. It had nothing to
No,
do
I
with
can't handle strong women. Well, that's
Yeah.
true. I
You
can't
guys
handle
make her sound like
You,
how
you haven't met my wife. If I mess with her, I'm in big trouble. Even Pascal is scared of my wife.
but can she not curb stomp people like Conan said? They said Gaul could go. What were you gonna say about Gaul, Kuba?
Oh, I was like, I had a point 3 iterations of this conversation ago. Like, the Venture Brothers had the best made-up country, Unterland, which was basically Latveria, except next to Minnesota somehow.
That was the one that was that the country.
Underrated show.
Was that the country that Underbite was from?
Exactly, that he was barren of.
Venture
Brothers is getting another feature. They just announced it's getting a feature this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Buck Rogers is getting a remake. Did you guys see that?
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, is Buck Rogers the one with Fu Manchu? Or
no, that's
no. That's Flash Gordon.
No, Buck Rogers is the one with the bitty guy, whatever is that guy.
Now I tried to do a rewatch of that, and that I could not even take.
It's appalling.
You know why? Because Aaron Gray has no butt.
Is that why?
You had to watch long butt for you're like, damn, that butt is long and in tight ass pants.
70s butts.
I will say this: I was highly critical of the idea of a Battlestar Galactica remake / reboot, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. A few times that the remake is better than the original, I feel. But
there's going to be a new Battlestar Galactica now, though. They're making another remake of
a newer one. I heard the remake was. I never got into it because I was so sad because Battlestar Galactica for me was okay, there's no Star Wars, and remember it came out before Return of the Jedi, so it was the perfect time. After Empire, I could sit there and watch spaceships.
It was your methadone, your sci-fi methadone.
Yes. Thank you. Perfect. And Buck Rogers.
That would be a much better name for this show than the Nerd Show, by the way.
I really like the Battlestar Galactica remake because it was space Canadians, right? Partly they filmed it in Vancouver, but also the sensibility.
All science fiction today is space Canadians.
Yeah, and Gaius Baltar is totally Donald Trump, but he didn't want to be in a leadership position. He's just sweating bullets the whole time, trying to white knuckle his way through. It's pretty hilarious.
He's Trump by way of Justin Trudeau because he gets there because he's hot and everyone thinks he's amazing. Yeah. The debates that they have around religious
military versus civilian.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Science versus religion.
And one of the episodes that they have ends with this military quasi junta, quasi oligarchic democracy organizing a union among its workers and being yes, we need a union.
The Tillium miners.
The miners.
Don't they also ban abortion at some point as well? Because there's an episode where no more abortion.
They debate it, but then ultimately uphold Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, and there's that
space Roe versus
Space Wade. There's that Mario Salva sort of bastardized speech. You got to put your hands upon the wheels. That whole
yes. Yeah, that's
which is a great moment. It's really well done. It's arguably better than the real thing because it's actually used for labor instead of for whatever the nascent politics between the UC Berkeley and the student union or whatever it was about for when he actually did it.
Getting Dad angry.
I actually think the Battlestar Galactica remake was brilliant for its sneaking in a literally a spiritual message to sci-fi nerds who are super left-brain rationalist, literal thinkers. It actually pissed off a lot of people, especially towards the end. But the degree of difficulty, what they tried to do with that show was, I think, unprecedented and really, really impressive. And I, for one, thought it was brilliant and genius. It just fell on
welcome our Cylon overlords.
Well, they're just part of
Kuba probably is a Cylon. That's what it is. Kuba's a Cylon. Yeah, that hasn't been a good. I think The Expanse kind of fills the void that Battlestar Galactica did at the time, because you have a really good sci-fi
politics
series.
For sure. Yeah,
you have a good sci-fi series. and then you have a period when there's like no good sci-fi on TV. Like they just like.
Well, now there's a whole.
That was called
dedicated
most of the
to
90s.
Yeah,
What are
you
you
have
talking
to dip
about?
into
Yeah,
anime.
Deep Space Nine, Babylon 5. It was a golden
Farscape.
age. Farscape.
I mean, there
Farscape
was
is underrated.
Yeah, I couldn't handle the Muppets.
You don't
I
like
watched the
Farscape?
whole thing though.
Muppets in space. I'm mad you went back and watched Buck Rogers.
I
That's
tried
a
to.
lot.
I got to the 2 episodes. I'm like, I can't. There's
Fucking
not enough lead in the world.
long, man.
Life is too short, my dude. Life
Have
is
you
too
seen
short.
Space 1999? Now that's a good show. Space 1999.
I
Oh,
tried
God.
that one too. I might get back to it, but that was also very like
What was
It
the
was-
show with the multiversal show where they're running around between dimensions?
Sliders.
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 Sliders
Yeah,
is freaking excellent.
Sliders.
So let
Damn,
me
you
tell you-
went there.
Sliders.
That's a great
with John
concept.
Rhys Davis.
What's the opinion on Quantum Leap?
Wait.
I like
We
it.
can't-
I enjoyed
we
it.
Well, I
can't-
worship Quantum Leap.
Boomer
was-
as
that was-
fuck.
We can't slip over Sliders. I got to say something about Sliders.
Sure.
There is the
You're a
second
Cro-Mag.
episode-
That's what you are.
in the second episode of Sliders, they go to like Soviet America where the Soviets have taken over America. And I just remember like there's a scene where there's the security forces are just executing people on the street.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Jason, are
but
you
that's
ordering
like
dinner?
America now.
I was gonna say wrong kind of sliders, but you know.
Oh, I see.
appreciate
I
it.
see. Yeah, okay.
No,
Sorry, go ahead, Gene.
Jerry
No, I'm-
O'Connell, fresh off of My Secret Identity, right? If I remember correctly.
no, he wasn't
But then
not
they
fresh off of, but it was.
they
Yeah.
changed
by
all
me.
the actors. They changed all the actors like in the middle
Yeah.
of Sliders. Like all the good actors disappeared, and it was just like
If
Lame.
Gene doesn't handle his weight, this is who he turns into. By the way,
who? Oh,
That was
John
a cool
Rhys
character,
Davies,
though.
isn't that like Sir John Reese something?
John
Yeah,
Rhys
he's a
Davies.
threat.
Yeah,
From Indiana Jones.
Indeed. Put the
And-
gun away.
and-
He always plays
and,
like it was the dad in Legends of Shannara when they did the MTV Legends of Shannara TV series.
I just remember the thing about John. Also, John Rhys Davies kind of wrote himself, kind of cut himself out of out of Indiana Jones, out of any future Indiana Jones films because of how much the actor was just talking about how much he didn't like Muslims or like Muslim immigrants, and so he
Really?
Yeah, this is like
Was that a ploy or was it his real opinion?
no, this is like War on Terror. This is like late Blair, War on Terror era, and because he was just talking the shit about how much he didn't trust them or didn't like all these like Muslim refugees or immigrants or something. And a lot of people
So
are like,
he's hanging
"Ew."
out with Eric Clapton and
So who was it? David Mamet that did like that like crazy hard right turn
Yes,
during the
yeah,
war.
he definitely did.
Yeah, that's such a
Sure did.
bummer, man.
9/11
that guy.
drove so many people crazy. So,
Christopher
well, have you ever
Hitchens.
seen the movie? You ever seen the movie Homicide, where
Hell yeah!
he starts,
Yeah,
he
Montana.
gets sucked into like an Israeli like terror cell? Like,
Yeah.
it's unbelievably offensive and just unbelievable. Like, I just don't buy it. Like, that movie was I couldn't believe what that movie turned into. But it sneaks in this like, I don't know, right wing nationalist message for Jews.
I like The Spanish Prisoner a lot. I think Glengarry is a classic, and I think even was it Heist, one of the Gene Hackman? I think that's actually an underrated film. But yeah, think about David Mamet, man. First of all, Rebecca Pigeon's got to be in everything, and that's just a whole separate kettle of fish. But yeah,
Marion Davies in the flesh.
yeah, like. I mean, whatever. It's not what we're here to talk about. Don't get me wrong, but I think it is notable that like how part of a certain culture David Mamet was. And it's not a Hollywood Homicide, Jason. It's the movie Homicide with Joe Montana. Although that's what
just remember that
I
this
didn't know that
was
existed.
made. I just want you guys
Harrison
to know
Ford
this got
and
made.
what's the other one? Hold on, I'm gonna.
Wait, was Hollywood Homicide the one where he already works around the clock, or was that the late? Was that the later? Which was the film where Harrison Ford declared he already worked around the clock? I think they shot it in Portland. I can't remember which one it was, but
I sort of gave a spoiler alert for Homicide because it doesn't announce itself that way in the beginning. But
There you go. Homicide.
God, William H. Macy is in this.
Deal with it.
William H. Macy is in everything. William H. Macy is in Enter the Dragon. Or The Last Dragon. Sorry,
I
wrong.
was gonna say, Last
Oh, I
Dragon.
was gonna say, I think I'll watch that. Hell yeah!
Yeah,
He's,
William
he's Chuck
Mason
Norris's
going up against
towel
Bruce
boy.
Lee.
Kung Fu.
He's one of the lesser known fighters. He gets knocked out real early, actually.
yeah. No, I will say this. Yeah, Last Dragon should be a movie we do for movie night one of these years.
I fucking love The Last Dragon. And I was actually talking with me and Teray, we're having this conversation about how much we miss Vanity.
Oh yeah.
Like I was trying to find her church in Fremont. She was a pastor of a church in Fremont, California. And I was trying to find it just to go like say hi and stare at her.
Yeah, well, in terms of, but the Last Dragon's in. I thought it's interesting because of I guess the time and place that it came out because it's almost like it's like pre-crack Los Angeles, but it's just plenty of cocaine. It's like the vibe, yeah, and it's like the vibe
As he
is there.
writes those Knight Rider scripts.
Yeah, but the vibe is very much there because it comes out in '85, right as the crack really came out. So, but it was definitely
Motown movie. I believe Barry Gordy's only foray in the film, right?
He tried a couple other times. That was the only.
Did he
one
try
that
a couple other times?
Yeah. He had some kind of actually the Motown documentary is pretty interesting because he wanted to basically have that be the thing. He's like, oh, this is what we're doing now, but like it didn't really work out.
But dude, the soundtrack to this was DeBarge.
DeBarge.
And fucking Bruce Leroy. I thought he was the dopest motherfucker alive, beating the shit out of that dude with the Jerry curl.
Julius Carey.
Yeah, Julius Carey, the co-star of Bruce Campbell's single season. The show that I loved, even though it only had like 7 episodes, but I remember it came out when I was a senior in high school, and I would tape every episode when it came out.
I just did a rewatch of that, and that 90% holds up until like the last 4 episodes when I think they knew they were being canceled.
Yeah, look at that outfit. Damn,
that's a good show.
I gotta say, Jeremy
because of Julius Carey.
Jeremy S in the chat box saying Quantum Leap was boomer as fuck. Yeah, I still like it, but I'll back that. I will say
because he was going back over his lifetime, which was he was born in 1950. So
again, according to the canon of the show, it makes sense for it to be boomer as fuck because that's
right.
his character.
Well, it's also I think Belisario kind of like needing to go back and comment on like important. I don't know. I think, but yeah, it's definitely it is both boomer truck just in the time period it covers, but goddamn in the sensibilities too.
You know what was boomer as fuck was the 20th century.
I will say I have hung out with Scott Bakula, and when we discussed the finer points of treehouse design, it was actually really cool, and I swam with his kids. He's a really nice fella.
Wait, what?
Who?
Scott Bakula.
Oh yeah.
You know Captain Archer?
He was like a really nice guy.
Captain Jonathan Archer?
Is he from your hood?
Jonathan Archer. Did you know he was the character was originally going to be called Captain Jeffrey Archer, but Jeffrey Archer was a disgraced British politician who like had a big scandal.
Really?
Yeah, Jeffrey Archer.
I heard something like that.
He was a novelist who became a conservative MP, and interestingly enough, he was very popular amongst Kurds because he did a big fundraising event in the 90s for Kurdish refugees. But I can't remember what the scandal brought him down, but he did force the studio to change the name of the character to Jonathan Archer, who is the best captain of the Enterprise, if you ask me.
Well, I think that show catches a lot of grief for a lot of reasons.
Second and third season and fourth season are all pretty good.
Like
I thought he was terrible, but I enjoyed the show.
The episode that's basically Lifeboat but in space is actually really incredible. And one thing I love about the show is they fly around just getting the crap kicked out of them everywhere they go, and then finally they're like, "Oh, hey, how about we make some shields?" And that's how they get shields in Star Trek.
Yeah,
they just get the crap kicked out of them, like worse than Daredevil in season 1 in every hallway that he walks through. And like everywhere they go, there's stuff flying off the ship. It's like barely holding together. It's like you got like the one dude like sitting there, like, duct taping things down, like whatever. And then like, oh yeah, what if we had these things called force fields? Oh yeah.
I mean, it sounds like the scurvy of like the 24th century, right? Where it's going to kill half of you. There's nothing we can do. Progress has to happen.
Then they find you. But it's also, I think, the most important thing about that show is that it introduced us to that excellent theme song, which I now
I'm logging off now.
Speaking of theme songs, I've been watching the first season of Who's the Boss.
Samantha.
He's the boss.
Mona.
Talk
Jonathan.
about not holding up.
Who is truly the
Angela.
boss? Find
Because
out.
why would a man be doing housework? This is what I don't get.
Oh, real quick. I will say that we've got to gloss over the connecting points here of both. Quantum Leap. You have Scott Bakula as a Star Trek captain, but also Dean Stockwell as both a Cylon, but also had I think he had a cameo role as an admiral in Enterprise. So they could have the two of them interact.
I think he was one of the Tandarans, but also the candy-covered clown they call the Sandman.
Yes, Blue Velvet, baby. Ow.
That's what restarted his career, and I think you could probably draw a direct line between Blue Velvet and Quantum Leap in terms of him getting that job.
That's a frightening
Dennis Hopper
line.
says is because he's so hyped on Dean Stockwell's singing that he wants everyone to shut up. He wants him to drink the correct beer. He wants everything to be correct so that Dean Stockwell can perform. Like it's actually really. I didn't notice that until like the third time I saw that movie. I'm like, oh wow, interesting.
Shit, yes, pour the fucking beer.
What's that prequel, Mike?
I just want you guys to know that Judith Light has looked 40 years old for the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Also, Catherine Hellman was 70
Catherine
her
Hellman.
whole career.
Well, no, not quite. Except but not in Benson. It was after she left Benson. Yeah, she was in
Was
Benson,
it? Okay. I feel like in Brazil, she's got the face stretching.
Oh man!
Oh,
that
I forgot that was her in Brazil.
So good. So bleak,
I like-
but so good.
I like Brazil. I like the miserable ending of Brazil, though. I don't like
that's the real.
happy
That's the real ending.
That's the real ending, not the.
Oh, also,
There's in the Criterion edition. There's actually a DVD that has like the tacked on happy ending, and it's like this makes no sense. Like it makes no sense whatsoever.
It makes no
I think
sense.
anybody ever goes up to her and says she's the less famous Gold, Tracy Gold.
oh dear. Well, I just also. Oh, real quick. Also, Star Trek connection with Benson. Was it Rene Auberjonois or was it
Auberjonois.
Auberjonois he was on Ben. Was he the governor on Benson?
He was the governor's aide, and also Neelix was his. I think
The governor's
attorney.
aide was this guy, right? It was that
Yeah,
guy.
there he is.
Yeah, see
Yeah.
him?
Constable Udo.
Well, yeah.
And there's Neelix. Neelix is on the right there. I don't know if you recognize him without the Talaxian makeup.
This guy was on Star Trek?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was on
Voyager.
Star
Not
Trek
the one where
Voyager.
they're fucking around the other side of the galaxy.
The greatest character of all time. Of all
You don't even go there, man.
He is truly the Jar Jar Binks of Star Trek.
He's the
There
Jar
you
Jar
are.
Binks
Yeah.
of Star Trek. But
By the way, can I just tell an unrelated anecdote? Is that my uncle was actually an extra on an episode of Benson because he was buddies with the producer, and he said that on the greatest day of his life was going on the set to this show, smoking a joint with Rene Auberjonois in his dressing room, and then going and playing a painter like he's a background act. And oh my God, you have to see the scene because they're painters who rap while they paint, and he's the only white guy in the scene. And it is you've got to see it to believe it. I don't know if I can find a link to it somewhere to send.
They
you, but
rap
it is-
while they paint?
Yeah, they're and
You
they go on
said nothing
strike.
but a word, my friend.
I know.
Hey, it's a creative enterprise.
This was
Meeting.
they're painters that are supposed to paint the mansion for the Queen's visit, and they go on strike, and so anyway. I don't want to give it away. You should really see it to see how.
Please give it away.
They rap. That's what you give away. They start rapping.
I'm not going to sing the rap to you, even though I probably could. But it is.
Oh yeah, do it. Let's hear some of that.
Give the people what they want. Come on.
It's literally.
Give them
the You got what you want, Cohagen. Give these people air. It's literally it's literally get down, get down, get down, get down, get down, get. That's literally the chorus.
Jungle Boogie.
Well, not quite, but it's all a cappella.
Right.
Well, we're heading
That's
up.
how they do it when you're battle rapping.
we're heading up to nearly an hour and a half. So
we barely touched RoboCop too, which is
we barely touched RoboCop.
And I only learned about the rapping painters.
What if we? What
I'm gonna look. I have the clip somewhere. Hold on.
What are people watching these days? By the way, like I'm seeing Conan's talking about Loki.
Loki's
and
good.
I have been enjoying Loki. I think Loki.
Don't give me any spoilers. I'm like too behind on that one. I've been enjoying it very much.
It's good. I like. Isn't Hiddleston a genius or something? Isn't he supposed to be like a genius?
So
he's really good.
I'm over here looking. I thought I took myself off air. I'm over here looking for rapping painters. Like you have no understanding. Yeah, I'm
no
going down this rabbit hole trying to find it.
Jason,
and the things that are showing up are even funnier than rapping painters.
Rapping
Jason, if you want a rapping painter from the 80s, go to the Blondie video for Rapture, where in the back. Well, in the background of a shot, Fab Five Freddy is spray painting, while she raps to somebody, the Fab Five Freddy's stand-in.
Oh, hold on. We're watching this, ladies and gentlemen. We are watching this. Hold on.
Oh, this is so. Can you set this clip up, Ben?
This is my uncle filling in as a background extra on Benson, his greatest moment of television fame, because he was buddies.
Did he get a SAG card from this?
No, he did not. He was not asked back.
Also in this clip is Larry B. Scott from Revenge of the Nerds
and Space Camp.
You remember
and Fear of a Black Hat.
Oh yeah.
Role. Greatest
Black Hat
of all time is Fear of Black Hat.
Do I look like a guy who would kill a whole bunch of motherfuckers?
Personally.
So here it comes, guys.
Oh man. Can't wait.
Hold on. Where's it?
This is going to be so worth it.
Okay, here we go.
It's going to give you an ad for Elon Musk's spaceship.
You guys are supposed to be downstairs painting the living room.
Not until we settle something.
What is it now?
Well, I've spoken with the rank and file. We've come to the conclusion that we should be another $2 an hour.
Don't let them push you around, Calvin. Look, we've been over this before. We just can't do it.
Sure you don't want to reconsider?
Be firm. Take it or leave it.
Is that your final answer?
Stay the course. That's my final answer.
Well, in that case, I officially notify you that the Hornets are on strike.
Yeah, go labor.
Damn, for a minute there, I thought we had them.
The Hornets are doing nothing but fooling around. The place is a shambles.
I talked to Calvin an hour ago. He said everything was under control.
Under control. You call this under control?
When the gig is through and the rules are new and
Oh my God.
say the work she sees was made to please by the one and only Mr. Clean. Hey, get down, get down.
Oh
get down, get down.
my God.
Get down, get down.
Don't go, Boogie.
Get down. Now hold the phone. You don't work alone. The Hornets are a team. So grab a brush. We're in a rush. We gotta split this scene. Get down, get down. Get down, get down.
I am not fond of this.
Fine, next time we'll get Guy Lombardo to paint the mansion.
Oh my God.
Hey, it's not our aim to play a game where you got the Hornets wrong. Yeah, we have a whole lot of fun, but we get the job done. We just do it with the song. Get down, get down.
Oh my God.
So presumably these painters rehearse in their spare time.
Meanwhile, Matthew's relatives giving off big Super Mario energy in the back.
Like seriously, dude.
He can play Italian. He can play Jewish. That's it.
That's frightening.
That's versatility, kid.
Yeah, it's
that got
double.
greenlit, and they were like,
You
"Oh,
make a plausible Turk."
Turk. Okay, thank you. Well,
like, we're gonna have the painters. We're gonna make them all colored, and they're gonna
imagine being Grandmaster Flash and seeing that by accident too.
Well, that's what's amazing is that to the extent that rap is penetrating Benson at 1983, I think it was, or 4, I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah.
You should show that to Pascal.
Dangerfield made that record in 80, 83, 84. That Rappin' Rodney.
But yeah, but just the delivery was kind of standard. I mean, at one point I thought they were going to tell us how to make a Wendy's hamburger in a training video. Have you guys seen that first?
That shit is so my feelings are hurt. Like if I ever see Larry B. Scott, I'm like, hey man, I saw the Benson episode, brother. It's all good. Okay.
You can forgive him.
Yeah,
Healing.
That's
I understand.
Listen,
that's pretty.
Man, it was the 80s.
That's right. Cocaine was a hell of a drug.
It was so pure back then.
Knew, like, that was gonna be his shot. Like, man, I'm on Benson. Everybody was like, you was on Benson? Yeah, what'd you do? I was rocking and painting. It was like, nigga, what?
Hey, he was that probably helped him get Revenge of the Nerds.
That's not better.
And did you notice that the rapping painters had a gang name?
Yeah, like the Hornets.
Yeah, they were cut out of the Warriors or something.
If it wasn't for the rapping and the painting, they'd be on the streets doing crime. So
like, so what does your character do? Well, see, my character is from the tough streets of Baltimore, and I go.
But he didn't succumb.
He paints.
Like
He's an entrepreneur.
Larry B. Scott, I'm sure he's a nice gentleman, but man, he had to play some shit roles to still not work.
Where is he today?
Probably teaching somebody how to act. Probably teaching hella white people how to act.
Probably doing voice work.
Imagine if
telling the story of this show.
Imagine if the Hornets were in the world of RoboCop. What would that look like? I think it'd go a little something like this.
Well, I was watching
They're
Total
rapping at RoboCop, you know. Like,
there's no black
I need a musical style
Yeah,
and a
there's no black
location.
people because they've all been shot by the algorithm that controls RoboCop. And it's like, that's what's going to happen. You know,
there's no Verhoeven is not fan of dude. Watch Total Recall and count the black people. It's only the one guy, and they coon him out. Yeah, that guy.
Whole damn thing looks like a train concert as far as like
he's lying about the kids he's got to feed. That's really his.
Okay, hang on. There's also the receptionist with her little RGB LED.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yes.
She's a very attractive woman.
And I think for ethnic representation, one of the other construction site guy looks pretty Italian, so maybe that counts.
Well, Arnold. This was the phase where Arnold was like, I think Arnold was putting Latina women in his contract.
Oh, that's
his demure. It wants a
demure.
That's the interesting thing of like you have the. Turns out, the bad, evil undercover wife is the blonde-haired, white, blue-eyed one. But they got that right. They got that right at least. Yeah, sleazy but demure.
Think about those movies, but because most of them is like his wife is just not there. Like Commando, she's dead, right? I think she's passed away.
Yeah.
And who's in it? But who's the
boss connection?
Ray Dong Chong.
Oh,
in Commando.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Arnold was like, "Do not give me the blonde."
In Predator, it is the what's the name? What is her name? And what's the actress's name in Predator? Because like she
I can't remember.
Predator.
Is it Maria Conchita Alonso?
Possibly, but I can't remember.
She was in Running Man.
A surprising amount of stars from that movie had political careers too, or at least attempted political careers.
Oh, Jesse.
Jesse Ventura. Yeah,
Jesse did. The guy who plays Billy. No, not Billy. The Native American character tried to run for either Kentucky or Tennessee.
As a libertarian,
he was a rabid right winger. Yeah, what I remember reading.
Yeah,
shocking.
Well, guys,
what have you been feeding this thing? Blondes.
Blondes.
A lot of these
It's hungry.
right-wing,
Long butts. Sorry.
Can we just all do the lines before we leave? We didn't do enough line quoting.
The blonde best line in the movie.
Which one?
Can I just say that I think RoboCop, I'm just going to mention this, is one of the only movies that the less violent version of it, like the edited version, might be a stronger film.
Oh yeah, what did they edit out? I don't remember.
Just a lot of blood.
Yeah,
just like when they kill Murphy in the beginning.
About 15 seconds of Murphy getting shot because they keep shooting him, and then they shoot him more. Then they shoot him some more.
That's still the funniest scene in movie history because they shoot the shit out of him and they're cracking the fuck up. That is some hilarious ass shit.
Yeah.
No, well, is it funnier than the mutated toxic waste guy?
Yeah, the toxic waste guy comes up, gets run over. Yeah.
And he falls on Ray Wise for a second.
Yeah, Opendio Carrillo was in.
Or when the black dude all of a sudden pulls out his giant penis while he's peeing, and that distracts the cop.
Nancy Allen.
Yeah.
Nancy Allen and Peter Weller share the same birthday, which I think is actually.
You read all of the IM movie.
No, this was an IMDb.
I feel like I have IMDb being read aloud to me by a voice to text.
Yeah,
I like it better than reading.
Also,
Joaquin says Sonny Landham was in Georgia. He ran in Georgia.
Yep.
That's gross.
As a Libertarian Party candidate, and I think he lost the nomination, if I remember correctly.
Oh, Conan, real quick, one of the things I want to ask you, because I don't know if I had a chance to ask you this before. I don't know if we've ever been on the street together, but do you actually have any? Are those full-on Jazz Masters behind you, or are they modified?
The Electrical Guitar Company guitars. So this one here is actually a Jagmaster. So it's a $300 Squier Jagmaster that I rotted out every piece of on tour for years and years in my old band Replicator. And the neck actually warped to the point that the guy I bring it to was like, it's like, yeah, this neck is done. So I actually got an aluminum neck replacement for it that is based on my prized possession, most beautiful thing I own in the entire world, which is my custom Electrical Guitar Company guitar, which is based on this $300 one. So this is the absolutely my favorite possession. Only guitar I really ever play, but I have this one as a backup, which is like the sort of like early man, like with the cyborg appliance, I guess, like kind of situation, like the Neanderthal that gets brought to the future, kind of like Flintstones, Jetson style kind of thing.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Sorry for misdirecting everything. It was just one of the things I did want to ask before the.
No, he's got stuff
no problem.
Stuff on the wall. I left mine in Brazil.
Wow.
Did you really? Because did you think you were going to be coming back to it? Or?
No, I said I'm going to leave this here so I can come back, and then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And now it has COVID.
Oh, car totally.
Goddamn Bolsonaro infecting everything.
That guitar.
And then Bolsonaro licked it.
Yeah, and then he got attacked by an emu again.
The guy I left it with was like, because of the way you tune it, I will never play this guitar. And I was like, okay, well, you can if you want to, but I'm leaving it here because I'm not going to fucking try to take it on a plane again. I hate taking shit on a plane like that. I hate it. I get too nervous.
So that is,
we
basically
good reason.
Into a totally different kind of show, but that's one of the things about having Electrical Guitar Company guitars. I don't mind checking it because it's made of the same stuff that the airplane is. So I don't have the same anxiety I used to have about flying with a guitar.
Did you see the story? I think this was a couple of years ago, but Dave Snyder from the Zambonis had they were going to some show, and he had his custom vintage, really special guitar that I think he was trying to bring on board, and he got a lot of shit from the airline. Like, sorry, so you have to check this. He's like, no, I'm not. This thing costs like $6,000. I'm not checking this. Yeah. And eventually they forced him to check it. He's like, fine, whatever. Put it in, and eventually it got mulched by the baggage handling system. I think it just snapped the neck and all sorts of shit, and he wound up suing them, and the story went viral and got a very nice replacement. So yeah, being extremely reticent about.
Similar happened to George Lynch. That's why I don't like flying with. Well, I also have really shitty guitars, so I can't really.
That's also something where a lot of can't think of any other federal regulations where people just aren't required to know anything about it that work at an airport. Because I have had, before I had the EGC, when I would fly with my wood guitars, I would actually have to just very patiently be like, okay, no, this is the regulation, ID and number. Here's what it actually says, etc. And they'll be like, no. And it's like, no, you actually, it's like, if you get your
sir, I think I know my job, sir.
Yeah.
Well, every time I see those TSA guys, I think of the South Park episode where it's like this woman's like, I got to check your asshole, sir.
Yeah.
I just think of that. It's like, yep, got to check your asshole.
So yet another freedom that we lost with the post 9/11 world and the
he's a winner. He totally got Americans to cuck themselves. Like,
yep.
You know, he just did he did a good one. He was like, I'm gonna just get some bolt cutters, gonna do a little terrorist attack, and then boom, that's $5
watch
trillion.
Punch himself in the dick.
Watch them drive the whole country into a ditch. Like, let's what is it, like 20 years of war in Afghanistan over nothing, some nice 4 trillion and 500,000 dead Iraqis, and now definitely Middle Eastern people don't like America, if they were on the fence before.
Is that true, Kuba?
Yeah, absolutely.
Osama bin Laden won the
Yeah.
war on terror. He won the war
It's
on
because
terror.
they hate
it's
our
like
freedoms. They hate our
America 3, Terror 27.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, do you remember when they closed down the bathrooms in the BART stations due to terrorism?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, there were people terrorizing that bathroom, all right, but it wasn't the way you think.
Yeah, no, I mean, any excuse
Still
to
closed,
strip
by the
away
way.
at public convenience.
So
you know,
if you're ever in San
save some money on
Francisco,
maintenance.
Kuba, maybe you know this, in San Francisco and Berkeley, when the escalators aren't working, it's because there's so much. If you notice, when they fix them, usually they have hazmat suits on, because in the city especially, cats just shit in the escalator so much that it's fecal matter that's clogging.
Yep.
And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they shut down the bathrooms and all the underground stations.
Sometimes you gotta take.
It's like
Might as well make it entertaining.
it's these weird half measures.
When you said nerd shit, I didn't know you meant literally.
You thought I forgot?
Very good, sir.
I
Did anyone watch Jason and Pascal on the Majority Report and watch Jason play his soundboard?
Yeah, that was great.
I like that.
Yeah, I screen capped that.
I
just
enjoyed
for
that.
the because like every time he
they
did,
were confused.
yeah, every time he did, just see Sam and Emma's kind of like slightly confused, and then eventually they got what was going on. Yeah, but I will say that the one problem with I think the only thing to remember about the soundboard is that because especially Majority Report and everybody else they use Zoom or these platforms that will they will auto duck anybody who's not speaking. And Skype doesn't do this, but Zoom does. So
Enable
sometimes,
original sound. It's a setting. You can turn it off.
Yeah. There you go. But yeah, it's like a lot of times they have you have to watch to make sure that somebody else doesn't get ducked when you're playing a sound, or when somebody else talks, it'll duck your soundboard.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny that the soundboard got reversed on Sam Cedar for a change. It was a good performance, guys. I think Sam was terrified of Pascal. I mean, Pascal is very good at terrorizing white people.
I was telling Jason that it to me it kind of felt like Pascal was like hearing like the theme song to Rocky or Creed like going in his head as he was like getting ready to talk. Like he was ready, man. He was like, "Boo, coming out of the ring. Here we go." All right.
It was 8 Mile. It was a theme song. Mom, spaghetti. He was like, you only got one shot. We all thought we were gonna have like 5 minutes on the show, and I didn't know we were on when we were actually on, because I thought they were gonna give me like, oh, okay, we're gonna bring you on in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're on, and then it was all downhill from there.
Pascal was giving
not to debate anybody.
Oh yeah, Pascal. The only thing Pascal will be doing to Steven Crowder is the Mau Mau.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no debate.
That's a very long list, but Crowder's got a pretty good spot on it.
Like
he's got a good spot on the Mau Mau list.
The list.
Crowder is a real racist piece of shit. Like he's like, you know, like a lot of people have plausible deniability on being racist, but like Steven Crowder has like literally no plausible like the stuff he says about Chinese people. It's like, bro, like you're literally dressing up.
It's like a caveman level. He doesn't even
he's
like rise to the point of having an ideology behind it. He
can't take
just an asshole.
Like you
right?
can't like that's a dude that you tell him like, look, homie, check it. Yeah, I'll debate you. We're gonna do it in studio, and I want you to wear a little punk ass fucking holster gun too, because I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with the fucking gun and holster.
Crowder seems like he would be one of Clarence Boddicker's crew, frankly. Like he's got that like, yeah, get him, Butch sort of vibe.
Yeah,
you know.
The one who laughs, the little snickering.
Yeah, that's him. That would be his star turn. Yeah.
And his audience.
Nothing to say to that guy.
When he comes into the studio, he literally says, "Bitches leave." That's what he says.
Rest in peace, Miguel Ferrer. Also a cameo member on a cameo appearance in the second Star Trek film.
Miguel Ferrer, another guy like Michael Ironside. I don't think he's ever played a good guy.
Twin Peaks. I mean,
he's
he's got this character arc.
Albert's sort of good.
He's snarky,
Pascal-
but
You
he's
guys don't
ultimately
want
good.
Pascal.
He's a
Like,
asshole
please,
sometimes.
please don't have Pascal versus like we
What
have.
are they gonna, what are they going to debate? Pascal's just going to say, "Shut up, cracker."
Yeah, like I'll be. Look, this is people always enough times people say you guys should debate or Pascal should debate. Like this is not a debate show, and there's more people that hit me up than you guys think that say things like, "Oh, I know so and so, and I can get them to come on, and you can have." Like, no, I don't want to do. Like other people do that show, they do it well. I don't need to replicate what they do. They just watch them do
You
it.
don't need to do everything. Just do the things.
Yeah. Like I
You're
just
doing great at it.
one thing. Like I
Ben Burgess is the debate guy. Ben Burgess,
I'm not
that's
from
his
that
thing.
world. I'm not from that world where you can say outlandish shit about people and not get the fuck slapped out of you. Like they
Right,
say
exactly. There's
outlandish
consequences.
shit to people.
Freedom
Yeah.
of speech, not freedom from consequence.
Yeah, I'm like, don't say that to somebody. Like that's not cool, man. So that's why we're not on Twitter. That's why we don't really, because I don't understand that world. I try to stay away from it. The most fun I'm having is right here, and none of us are really talking too much shit. I mean, ultimately, we're talking shit about a guy that has 5 million followers that says mean shit about Asian people. So
And everyone else, you know.
And everyone else. Yeah, like it's just and his base of watching is boomers. It's not young people watching him. It's like 14-year-olds and boomers.
No,
The guy's a fucking asshole.
There's this phenomenon where older people want their prejudices mirrored by somebody like a generation ahead of them as a form of reassurance.
Son or something, or
the young people today, they like lynching too. You know, it's like
some things never change.
Things never change. You see, this Steven Crowder, you know, he understands the Orientals, and it's like, come on, dude.
you guys are evil.
No, I mean, like, honestly, you've got like I know boomers. I'm not going to say who they are, but I know boomers who are watching Steven Crowder and getting that like. That's where they get that pop culture from, because they're like, oh, this is what the kids are watching today. It's like kids aren't freaking watching Steven Crowder. It's like it's not a kids thing. It's like it's the people who liked racist comedy, but now racist comedy is not really socially acceptable anymore. So they have to go to Steven Crowder to have their like, look at the Mexican workers fleeing from the man-saying immigration service. You know,
boomers who are watching YouTube shows?
Yeah, boomers watch YouTube shows. Yeah, boomers
can figure out YouTube.
I don't mean that as a joke. It's like, I'm glad to hear it.
Boomers are watching YouTube shows because, like, a lot of these boomers, they got into it's because Facebook is boomer, right? And YouTube is boomer. So that stuff is like they don't get the TikTok. They don't get the
I don't get that.
Instagram.
The Instagrams. They don't really like Twitter is like old millennials. Instagram is young millennials, and then the Zoomers are all on TikTok. But the olds, Gen X and above, are on Facebook, like because they're all having long rambling arguments with each other. It's like,
yeah, the argument actually keeps you on Facebook. You would have moved on with your life.
Oh, and by the way, if people want to
really own this one guy from high school.
If people want to see Pascal debate, I think they made it private, but he is in a fraternity, and he actually got very dressed up to Mau Mau, his fraternity brethren. And
What does that mean, Mau? What does that mean, Mau Mau?
Oh, Mau Mau is so there was a rebellion against the British in Kenya in the 1950s, where they did things to Whitey who lived there.
I get it now. Yes,
Good.
I support that.
Quick, it's basically when you write. It's what do they call it in what did they call it in Poland? A jacquerie.
No, that's French. Are you talking about a pogrom?
Yeah, it's a pogrom, but against people who deserve to be
a good pogrom.
Good pogrom.
yeah.
A pogrom.
But it's good.
Yeah, these Cossacks are on. These Cossacks are on our side. Oh, also real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, real quick clarification thing. The video of Pascal talking to that panel about future black leaders or something. And I didn't want to say I think getting the young dude on the panel, was it Will Davis? I think his name is.
Yeah.
Having him come on the show just to chat, would be really cool. Just talk to here this young
that guy was great.
Yeah, Gen Z kid. But the video is not on YouTube. It is on Facebook. If you find,
it is on. Okay, I'll find it. I'll put it up.
The other guy though,
Is it?
the guy that Pascal wanted to Mau was excellent. He was like, if you're a business owner, I want to rock with you. I'm going to rock with you. And he was like, it's like, bro, if he basically was, Pascal was ready to Mau.
Pascal was very.
He was very. You could see the Mau energy building up in him.
And he put a suit on, but you don't understand. Like I was getting the calls beforehand, the Eminem 8 Mile calls beforehand. So watching that thing, I took me a while to watch it. But when I finally watched it, I was cracking the fuck up because I know him and I know how excited he was to fucking stick it to those dudes. So. And one of the dudes was Larry Blackman from Cameo's son, which I thought was fucking hilarious, and it made me laugh. But thank you guys for coming on, Matthew. You are a teacher of a film appreciation class.
Oh yeah, if people want to go sign up for my online film appreciation class, it's nothing too heavy duty. We show some heavy duty movies. We show like art films and foreign films and independent films that are a little bit more of a thinker, and that's why we have a good discussion. I send you guys a link, and then you come on and talk about it for 90 minutes every Tuesday. But go to my Twitter. It's at Langdon Boom. I don't know if you want to put that somewhere. I should have put that in my thing. But come join us. We have a good group of people, very intelligent, inquisitive, fun, friendly people. Yes? You want to
there you go. I remember that you said you wanted to do that. So
thank you. I appreciate that. Starts July 6th next.
July 6th? Okay. Matthew Film Guy Film Appreciation Class. Giving the Mic to the Wrong Person podcast. Conan, Neutron, and the Secret Friends. The hosts of Foreign Policy Thursdays. And soon to be doing something on Wednesdays.
This information has been redacted.
Oh. Foreign Policy Thursdays.
If I may, if people are watching this on YouTube, Protonic Reversal, while not being a YouTube show, my podcast, Conan Neutron's Protonic Reversal, which is music interviews, if people want to subscribe to that, it's always free. So I forget to mention it almost all the time, and I swore this time I wouldn't forget it. So
and you forgot it.
And you get some killer interviews.
He does.
Thank you.
Conan it's literally probably the best music podcast out there, especially if you like alt. I don't want to say alt rock. But
well, wait, Conan, did you talk to Greg Norton?
From Husker Du? Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Here you go.
one of my bass guys.
Devo, Sleep, Matt Pike. You had Matt Pike on, right?
James Williamson from the Stooges. That was a big one for me. Tony Visconti, David Bowie's producer. Steve Albini many times over. Ian Mackay. Yeah. If you like that kind of stuff, come get it.
So Conan's
all free.
Yeah. Kuba and Djene give you the deep inside information on foreign policy. And I am out.